Indentured servitude is not a video game about false teeth with an attitude. Rather, it is the practice of voluntarily selling one's services to another party for a limited number of years in exchange for room and board. More than half of the European immigrants from 1609 to 1800 came to the American colonies as indentured servants. The practice started in Virginia and lasted until around 1920. In some ways, it was a good way for poor folk to escape the poverty and hopelessness of Europe and come to America. America needed workers, and the poor needed work. And because so many were unable to pay their own way over to the new land, the practice grew rapidly. It was a highly regulated practice with contracts that were enforced to require the worker to honor the labor debt and the employer to honor his obligations, though often it was a hard, miserable life for the servant. It was a common practice throughout history, and it was regulated as a means of exchange under the law of Moses. In the middle of a set of laws designed to protect the poor, God instituted a requirement that every 7 years all Israelite debts were to be released, Deuteronomy 15 verses 1 and 2. And the rich were obligated to be generous in their loans, even if the debt was incurred shortly before the release date, Deuteronomy 15 verses 7 through 11. Similarly, indentured servants were to be released after 7 years of service, Deuteronomy 15 verses 12 through 15. And their former masters were to provide a generous severance pay so they didn't go away broke and end up right back in servitude. Beyond protecting the poor, which is part of God's nature, it was a model of God's relationship to His people and His plan for eternal salvation. When we consider that our ultimate debt is sin, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, Romans 3:23, and we cannot pay it off on our own, Romans 3 verses 19 through 20, can we ever be released? No, not if it's up to us to pay the debt. Fortunately for us, God is generous and loving and offers to buy our freedom and release us from our debt through Jesus, Romans 3 verses 24 through 25. Will we accept the offer? Hopefully you will. And hopefully you'll come back tomorrow for another Morning Minutes in the Bible. Until then, this is James McClenny hoping you have a great day.